Hello, my name is Precious Adeyinka Salami, and I'm the founder and tribe chief at Mental Drive Africa. When I'm asked why I started Mental Drive Africa or why mental health, it is usually a very direct answer for me, and I just say, I started Mental Drive Africa so no one ever feels alone, so no one ever feels unheard, or no one ever feels their voice is too tiny to be heard. I started Mental Drive Africa because deep down, I knew what it felt like to grow up unseen, unheard, or feel unsafe. From a very early age, I lived in an environment where domestic violence was normal, and I'm talking to you about the practical African Nollywood, have to fight, break things, break TVs, and neighbors were not even coming to interfere kind of thing. By the age of 9, I was already living apart from my family. So when I tell people I do understand what people who have gone through foster homes have faced, it's because I've lived through those experiences. I'm talking at age 9, I have gone through about 5 different households, being moved from one family member to the other, from one city in Nigeria to the other, from not being able to even go to school to different phases of things I can not begin to explain, and sometimes missing school and missing out on important milestones every child deserved to have a family, were one of those breaking things that I feel like no 10-year-old, no 9-year-old should have to experience. But these became a norm at a certain point in my life where I had to grow through different phases. I practically became a parent to my siblings, and as early as that age, it's best to say that my innocence were rubbed off me. There were times where it felt like I was alone, definitely. I literally whipped through nights, and at age 10, the number of things I knew or had seen or had experienced, no 10-year-old should have to go through that. Now imagine growing into teenage years, growing into adulthood. I've grown through different phases of pain, and when I started out Mental Drive Africa, I was coming from a point of healing. I had met people who had changed my perspective on life. I had gone through suicidal phases. I had gone through places or things that left me questioning my sanity. And these things happened very early in life. So when I started Mental Drive Africa, I made it a point of, or a moment of decision for me where people are first aware of the problems they have to deal with, then learn different ways to deal with it. But you're not just dealing with it alone, you're coming through safe spaces that help you understand that life's journey is not meant to be done alone. By the time my parents separated when I was 16, I had already done all sort of menial jobs just to survive. It was a literal point of, I can't go out, I can't go home. I was in between. So it felt like I was just hanging in the middle. There was no direction towards what life could be or what life could hold for me. And having to go through that phase, in all of it, I felt that one thing was missing, which was like emotional support and validation. So when we create the support systems at Mental Drive Africa, or when I am asked the question of why did you start Mental Drive Africa, it is just for people to understand that community is important, but being in the right community is what makes the difference. So the void became my drive. I wanted to build a community where people, no matter their age or background, could feel safe, could feel seen, could feel heard. And that is what I call the heartbeat of what we do at Mental Drive Africa. Mental Drive Africa started as just a dream. In fact, it started out with me running an online talk show in 2020 during the COVID period. And that was Real Talk with Simi for people who are OGs and know where that started from. Real Talk with Simi was then birthed at that point where it felt like COVID hit. I had seen the realities around me. I was just a little girl in the city of Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria. And being in that phase, being in that place, I realized people were breaking. The community, the things we were used to seeing, it felt like things were changing and people were not able to meet up with it. People were breaking around me. Children were getting to experience the harsh realities of what being with their parents could be like. The people that have gone through domestic violence were taking more of the heat. Children were turning more into drugs. I was seeing teenagers, because this was my NYSC year, I was seeing teenagers turn more to drugs because schools were closed. They had nothing to keep them going. They had nothing to keep them busy. And it started out with, okay, let's talk about these things. People did not, there's no way you can deal with a problem you're not even aware of. And in Nigeria, where I come from, I've come to realize that we have a suffering and smiling mentality where as far as you have eaten, as far as you have a roof over your head, nobody believes that you're going through a lot. So one of the narratives I wanted to change was for people to talk. When you get talking, then people get to know, because you can't just cage it all up on the inside and feel like, oh, as far as I'm smiling, as far as I look good on the outside, then everything is fine. So Real Talk with Simi was birthed with that vision of, okay, let's get to talk. Let's bring people on this talk show. It was an Instagram live, which started from a Facebook live. Let's bring people to talk about these things. Let's get people knowing what mental health is. And that started with me in my very tiny room, having to do IG live videos, bringing on guests who were vast in this knowledge, sharing books, sharing resources free of charge to people, and creating access to what mental health was. So that started out with Real Talk with Simi, and then we realized that we could do so much more. By we, that started with my boyfriend at that point, who is now my husband. And we started out as a small community of 2 people who shared the same vision of creating safe spaces for mental health conversations in Africa. We didn't have much, but we had commitment. We had commitment to being the change from that little point that we were, that we started out, which became our starting point, basically. We felt like it wasn't just going to be a dream forever. If you want change, then you have to be the change first. And over the past 5 years, that small dream has grown into a thriving community of over 60 people working together, supporting each other, with hundreds and hundreds of hours spent in outreaches, school programs, conferences, campaigns. We've gone from our mentality program, which first launched in 2020 with secondary school students, partnering with different organizations and even the local government and NYSC. We've gone from that mentality program in our schools to medical and mental health outreaches in communities and marketplaces, to launching the Exhale community for young people. We have seen lives touched, we have seen stigmas broken, and we've seen mental health awareness raised. Of course, it has not been without challenges, but every step reminds me of why MDA exists: to make mental health conversations normal, to make it safe, and to make it actionable. Looking back at some of my proudest moments with MDA, I think every one of it. I am proud every time the conversation on mental health comes up and people are more aware, people are taking more actions, there's more advocacy, there is more knowledge out there, people are utilizing their social media to speak up, to create support systems for people. I'm also proud after every outreach or event, realizing that we've just made our mark on young people, on adults, on even old people. I'm proud when I see young people in schools begin to understand emotional well-being. When market women who have never heard the word mental health tell us how relieved they feel just having someone listen or talk to them. And honestly, one of my proudest moments is this: celebrating 5 years of consistency and commitment. To me, it just shows resilience. It shows that, yes, I could think it and I could do it, and we've done it together as a team. It shows that a vision born from pain can actually become a movement of healing. I believe that my story is the lens through which I lead. I have continuously shared it. Of course, there are sometimes that I've held back bits and pieces of my story just to protect some part of me, but I've stayed as vulnerable as I can, and I've realized that my story is the lens through which I lead. I've gone through a very high degree of childhood trauma, which I have shared on some of our YouTube sessions, because I know what it feels like to be unheard. I know what it feels like to be 16 and clueless. I know what it feels like to know people have love at home, but you can't fully relate to it. I've learned to listen deeply to other people who have been in my shoes, because I know what it feels like to live without support. I make sure no one who comes into our space feels invisible. Every program we run at Mental Drive Africa is rooted in empathy and a deep understanding that healing is possible. For me, Mental Drive Africa is not just an organization. It is a reflection of the journey from brokenness to restoration. The future for Mental Drive Africa is bold. We are currently moving into our 5-for-5 campaign, where we're celebrating 5 years with different major activities that cuts from fitness into a media tour, into trainings, conferences, certifications, and evenings to celebrate our teams and volunteers. Beyond that, we envision MDA as a continental force in Africa. We're creating sustainable programs in schools, communities, and workplaces is concerned. We are also working towards more structured partnerships, more research-driven impact, and building systems that allow us to reach thousands more. Just recently, we've launched our chatbot, where you can access instant mental health support and ask questions that you need answers to. Our dream is to make mental health support as accessible and normal as walking into a clinic or just picking up your phone to call a friend. My message is simple, and it is something I preach every time. At Mental Drive Africa, as we turn 5, we would just like to remind you that no matter where you are, no matter what you've been through, you deserve to be seen. You deserve for your voice to be heard, and you deserve to feel safe. It might sound as little as that, but every story, every phase, every dimension you function in, MDA exists to remind you that your story matters and that healing is possible. As we step into this new chapter, we invite you to walk with us as partners, as volunteers, as whatever it might be. We invite you to walk with us on this journey. It might be as simple as turning on your post notifications on to partner with us. It might be as simple as donating with us on the courses that we run in schools or our Exile community. It might be as little as being a part of the Exile community, providing support, peer-to-peer support, or joining our pro bono sessions, or simply being aware of what mental health is and how you can support other people on their journey. MDA is 5 now, the future is bold, and we look forward to more of service, starting with the change that we have chosen to be right here, right now.